He couldn't afford a phone, a computer, or even a plane ticket yet. Today he runs the company that powers your entire digital life. How did a shy boy from a tiny apartment in India become the CEO of Google and Alphabet? Stick around to uncover his unbelievable story. And if you want more inspiring journeys that also boost your English, subscribe now and turn on all notifications so you never miss a lesson. Many people have dreams, but only a few of them are able to turn those dreams into reality. Many people want success, but very few have the patience, the humility, and the courage to walk the long, difficult road that leads to true greatness. Sundar Pichai's story is proof that you do not need to be born rich to become successful. You do not need to have expensive clothes or luxury things. What you really need is a burning desire inside you to learn, a never-give-up attitude, and a humble heart. So if you are someone who is struggling in life right now, if you sometimes feel like giving up, if you think the world is unfair, then this story is for you. Please listen until the very end, because this might just be the most important video you watch today. This is not just a biography. This is a guide, a lesson, a soft light for anyone who feels like they are walking through the dark. As we go through Sundar Pichai's journey together, you will hear everyday words and phrases that are easy to understand but also very powerful. You will learn how to describe challenges, success, and motivation all in simple English. Plus, the story will help you improve your listening skills while keeping you engaged with a real, exciting life story. So not only will you be inspired, but you will also be improving your English every step of the way. Chapter 1. The Humble Beginnings. Let us go back in time. Let's travel to the year 1972 to a crowded, noisy city called Madurai in the southern part of India. In this city, on June 10, 1972, a boy named Pichai Sundararajan was born into a small, middle-class family. The world knows him today simply as Sundar Pichai. His father, Raghunatha Pichai, was an electrical engineer. He worked very hard every day in a British company called GEC. His job involved repairing electrical parts, working with circuits and complex designs. He did all of this to try and give his family a better, more comfortable future. His mother, Lakshmi, was a stenographer, that is, someone who types and writes in shorthand. But she left her job to take care of her children full-time, to be there for them always. Now I want you to imagine this. Sundar's house had no television. It had no refrigerator. They lived in a small two-room apartment in a neighborhood called Ashok Nagar in Chennai, which was known as Madras at that time. One room was the living room during the day. But at night, that same room became the bedroom for the entire family. They did not have a car. To go anywhere, they used a scooter with the whole family carefully balanced on it. There was only one fan in the entire house. During the hot Indian summers, the house would become extremely hot, but they never complained. They were happy, simple people who found joy in each other. Sundar shared his room with his younger brother. Sometimes when relatives came to visit, they also stayed in the same small house. The space was small, yes, but the dreams inside that small house were very, very big. Sundar's childhood was filled with questions. He was always curious. He wanted to know how things worked. How does a telephone work? How does electricity travel through wires? How are big machines built? He would ask his father so many questions, and his father, even after a long day at work, always answered with patience and a smile. This is where Sundar first learned the value of knowledge and the joy of learning. Every evening, his father would come home from the factory and talk to Sundar about his day. He would describe the problems he had solved and the machines he had fixed. Sundar listened so carefully. He did not understand everything, of course, but he was learning to think like an engineer. He learned that behind every great thing in the world, there is hard work, there is discipline, and there is a thoughtful design. Now listen to this powerful part. The family got their first telephone at home only when Sundar was 12 years old. It was a simple old-fashioned rotary phone. You had to put your finger in the dial and turn it to call a number. And here is something very surprising that his family noticed. Sundar had a photographic memory. He could remember every single phone number he dialed even after calling it just one time. That was the first moment when his family looked at him and realized, Sundar is special. Even though he was very intelligent, Sundar was never proud or arrogant. He was a quiet boy, very polite, and a little bit shy. He was the kind of student who sat in the back of the class, but always scored the highest marks. He studied at Jawahar Vidyalaya, a school that was not fancy or elite, but it had good, dedicated teachers. Sundar loved math and science. He loved the feeling of solving a difficult problem. He was not someone who learned just to pass exams. He learned because he truly enjoyed the process of learning new things. Now you may ask, did he have private tuition? Did he have expensive books? No, he did not. He studied with whatever he had. He often borrowed books from other students or the library. He simply worked harder than most people around him. And he never, ever wasted time. When he grew a little older, he studied at a school called Vanavani, which was located inside the famous IIT Madras campus. There, for the first time, he saw brilliant university students and professors walking around discussing big ideas. And seeing them, he started to dream. He thought, one day I want to go to a big college like this too. But dreams are not enough, are they? Dreams must be followed by effort. After years of hard work and many sleepless nights, studying, Sundar Pichai finally made his parents incredibly proud. He got admission to IIT Kharagpur, one of the top engineering colleges in all of India. This was a huge moment not just for him, but for his entire family. Imagine this for a moment, a young boy, shy and humble, coming from a small house with no air conditioner, no computer, and very little money, now walking into one of the most respected colleges in the country. It was like stepping into a new world for him. There were big classrooms, brilliant minds, competitive students, and highly experienced professors. But here is something you should know. Even though he got into this great college life, did not suddenly become easy. In fact, it became even tougher. Sundar chose to study metallurgical engineering, the study of metals materials, and how they work in different industries. Now you might wonder, why metallurgy? Why not computer science? The truth is, Sundar was not from a rich family. At that time, he did not know much about computers. In fact, during his early days at IIT, he had never even touched a real computer. But he was curious. He listened to other students. He observed. He started learning about programming and coding in his own time on his own. He read books that others ignored. He would go to the computer labs and sit there for hours just watching how things worked, trying to understand. At IIT, he met students who came from big cities, from rich families, and from modern schools. They had better clothes, they spoke with more confidence, and their English was very strong. Sundar, in comparison, was soft-spoken, and his English was still developing. Did he feel small sometimes? Yes, of course. But did he give up? Never. He did not speak much, but he listened more than anyone. He was not loud, but his thoughts were sharp and clear. He did not try to compete with other people. He tried to compete with himself to be better today than he was yesterday. Sundar worked silently. While some other students were wasting time and partying, Sundar was in the library, reading books in his room, solving problems, and in his mind, thinking deeply. He never tried to show off. He was focused on just one thing: growth. His professors noticed his talent. They saw that Sundar had something special, a calm mind, and a very deep intelligence. One professor even said, "Sundar Pichai is one of the most promising students I have ever seen." During his final year at IIT, Sundar applied for a scholarship to study in the United States of America. His dream was to do a master's degree from a top university abroad. He applied to Stanford University, one of the best universities in the world. And guess what? He got selected. But now came the biggest challenge of his life money. The flight ticket from India to the USA at that time cost almost $1,000. This amount was more than his father's entire yearly salary. Just imagine the situation. They had no credit cards, no sponsors, no internet banking or online fundraising. There was just one simple Indian family trying to support their son's enormous dream. What do you think happened? His father did not think twice. He took a loan. He used up all of his life savings and even borrowed money from relatives. He did this because he believed in his son. He believed, "If I invest in my son's education, it will change his life forever." That is what great parents do. They sacrifice everything for their children. So one day, with a single suitcase, a heart full of hope and tears in his mother's eyes, Sundar Pichai took his first flight ever from Chennai to California. He was going to a country he had never seen before, to a culture he did not understand, and to a life that was completely different from anything he had ever known. When Sundar reached Stanford University, he was in shock. Everything was so different. The people, the food, the tall buildings, the teaching style, even the deep silence in the libraries. In India, he was used to crowded streets and noisy classrooms. Here in America, students walked around with headphones on, drank coffee during lectures, and asked their professors tough questions without any fear. At first, Sundar felt like an outsider. He did not understand many things. People spoke English very fast using slang he had never heard. He missed Indian food. He missed his family. He missed his home. And do you know what he did when he first saw a computer with an internet connection at Stanford? He just stared at it in complete amazement because he could not believe that such powerful technology existed. Back home, he had no access to the internet at all. But here at Stanford, he had 24/7 access to modern computers, advanced labs, and world-class professors. He knew this was his chance. So he studied day and night. He asked questions in class. He made detailed notes. He always sat in the front row. He learned everything he could, from programming to networking to computer systems. While other students partied, Sundar worked silently in the library. And slowly, something started to change. He began to understand the American system. He made some new friends. His English became much better. His confidence grew, and through it all, he never forgot who he was or where he came from. Even when he had very little money, Sundar would save his small student stipend very carefully. Once he saw a backpack he really liked, but he couldn't buy it because it was too expensive. So he waited. He worked a part-time job and saved, and he bought it later. He knew that every single dollar counted. After completing his master's degree in material sciences and engineering from Stanford, Sundar had many options. He could have gone back to India. He could have joined a regular company. But he wanted to go higher. He wanted to work in Silicon Valley, the place where all the tech legends live and work. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Intel, Facebook, all of them were born there. But getting a job in Silicon Valley was not easy. Sundar worked for a few companies first. He joined a company called Applied Materials. Then he decided to study more, so he went on to do an MBA. From the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, another very famous institution. At Wharton, he was named a Siebel Scholar and a Palmer Scholar. These are titles given only to the top most brilliant students of the class. Now imagine this. A boy who did not have a phone until he was 12 years old was now standing in classrooms where future billionaires and CEOs studied. And still, he stayed humble. This is what made Sundar different. He never ever forgot his roots. Sundar Pichai was now standing at the doors of the most powerful companies in Silicon Valley. His qualifications were excellent, a master's in engineering from Stanford, an MBA from Wharton, with top honors and real work experience at companies like Applied Materials and McKinsey. But there was one thing he had in his heart that many others did not: hunger. A hunger to build things, to learn more, and to create something useful for the world. It was the year 2004, and Sundar had just applied for a job at a growing tech company called Google. At that time, Google was already well known for its search engine, but it was not the giant company it is today. They had fewer products, fewer employees, and fewer offices. Sundar did not know it then, but this one job interview would change his entire life. He prepared very hard. He studied computer systems, logic problems, and business case studies. He knew he was not a typical programmer, but what he had was clarity of thought, a strategic mind, and the amazing ability to understand what users really need. On the day of the interview, he entered Google's office, which was not very flashy back then. He was calm and focused. They gave him difficult technical problems, and he solved them logically. They asked him questions about products, and he gave unique, insightful answers. They asked him, "What would you improve about Google?" He said, "Let's make the homepage simpler. Let's build useful tools around the search engine. Let's think beyond just search." He did not say what he thought they wanted to hear. He said what he truly believed. And that impressed everyone. Sundar got the job. He joined Google as a product manager. This is a role where you do not just code. You also think. You solve problems. You plan the future of a product. And this role was perfect for him. When Sundar first joined Google, he was quiet. Other managers were loud and very confident. They had big egos. They often spoke in meetings just to show their power. Sundar, on the other hand, spoke only when it was necessary. But when he did speak, people listened. He was given a simple job to work on Google's search toolbar. This was the small bar that let you search Google directly from your web browser without having to open the main Google page first. It was not a glamorous job. Nobody thought it was very important. But Sundar saw the future. He realized that if people used Google directly from their browser, they would stop using other search engines. Google would become faster, easier, and a more natural part of their lives. So he worked day and night to make the toolbar better. He studied how users searched, how fast the results came, and what made the experience smooth. He focused on user behavior, what people really wanted, not just what engineers wanted to build. He improved the toolbar so much that it became a major reason for Google's early success. As Sundar was working, he saw a big problem. At that time, most people were using Microsoft's Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox to browse the internet. But those browsers were often slow, clunky, and full of bugs. He thought to himself, why don't we build our own browser? This was a huge risk. Google was a search company, not a browser company. Building a new browser from zero would take years of work and a lot of money. And many senior leaders at Google said it was a bad idea. But Sundar believed in three things: speed, simplicity, and control. He argued, if we control the browser, we can improve the full user experience, and if we don't build it, someone else will. Still, no one was ready to fund his idea. So what did he do? He kept pushing. He did not give up. He made presentations. He showed prototypes. He convinced one team member at a time, explaining his vision with passion and logic. He created a small team, and they started building the browser in secret. Finally, Larry Page, one of Google's co-founders, believed in him and said, "Let's go for it." That secret project became Google Chrome. When Chrome launched in 2008, it was clean fast and incredibly easy to use. People loved it. Within just a few years, Google Chrome became the #1 browser in the world. And this one product made Sundar Pichai a rising star inside Google. Why? Because he had a clear vision. He built a strong, motivated team. He took a huge risk. And most importantly, he always put the user first. He did not build Chrome to become famous. He built it to solve a real problem for people. And that is what true leaders do. After Chrome, Sundar did not stop. He went on to work on Google Drive improvements for Gmail and Google Maps. He later took full control of the Android operating system. Every single time he led his team with humility. He was not a bossy leader. He listened to others. He allowed people to disagree with him. He created a culture of deep respect. One of his colleagues famously said, "Sundar makes you feel smart even if he's the smartest guy in the room." He was not a micromanager. He gave people space to be creative, but he always asked one simple question: how does this help the user? That is why his projects were always successful, because he focused on people, not just on technology. It was August 10th, 2015. A normal Monday. Sundar walked into the office like he always did. But this time, something big happened. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google, announced that Sundar Pichai would become the new CEO of Google. The whole tech world was surprised. But the people inside Google were not. They knew this day would come because Sundar was not just an engineer. He was a visionary, a thinker, a leader, a problem solver, and most importantly, a kind and respectful human being. Think about it. The boy who grew up in a 2-room apartment in Chennai, who stood in long lines just to use a telephone, who did not have access to a computer until he came to the US, was now in charge of a company that controls the internet for billions of people. This was not a dream anymore. This was real life. But with great power comes great pressure. And that is what this next chapter is all about. Sundar walked into the office on his first day as CEO without bodyguards, without shouting, without a dramatic press conference. There was no big speech, no loud words, just a warm smile, a quiet presence, and a confident walk. He stepped into a room full of Google's top executives. He did not start by talking about profits or numbers. He simply asked, "What is best for our users? What can we do that truly helps the world?" This was the kind of leader he was: simple, thoughtful, user-focused, and deeply human. Being the CEO of Google is not like running a small company. It is more like being a global leader. Why? Because Google touches billions of lives every single day through Search, YouTube, Gmail, Maps, and Android. It affects millions of businesses through advertising and cloud services. It deals with governments and schools through data and privacy regulations. Every single decision Sundar made would be seen, judged, and discussed globally. If he made a mistake, it would be on the news. If he fired someone, it would trend on social media. If he launched a new product, the entire tech world would analyze it. So how did he handle that kind of intense pressure? He handled it calmly, softly, and powerfully. He did not panic. He did not play politics. He did not attack his critics. He did what he always did best. He listened, he thought deeply, and then he spoke with clarity. Soon after Sundar became CEO of Google, another huge change happened. Google's co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin decided to step back and create a new parent company called Alphabet Inc. This was a giant holding company that would own Google, YouTube, DeepMind, Waymo, self-driving cars, and other ambitious projects. And guess what? In December 2019, Sundar Pichai was made the CEO of Alphabet too. Yes, now Sundar was not just responsible for Google. He was responsible for YouTube, Google Cloud, Google Search, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, and many other futuristic projects. It was like being the captain of 10 massive ships at once, each with its own engine, its own team, and its own mission. Still, he did not panic. He led with strategy, with listening, and with balance. Being a tech CEO means you are not only dealing with engineers and products, you are also dealing with governments, courts, activists, the public, and politics. Here are some of the major storms Sundar faced and how he handled them. In 2018, Sundar Pichai was called to testify before the United States Congress. Lawmakers were worried about user data privacy, political bias in search results, and monopoly concerns, whether Google was simply too powerful. It was a very tense moment. Powerful politicians were sitting across from him. Cameras were rolling, broadcasting live to the world. Every word he said could become a global news headline. But Sundar sat calmly. He explained Google's complex technology in simple words. He made complicated systems sound human and understandable. He patiently repeated one core message: we do not manually control search results. We use algorithms, and our only focus is to provide the most relevant, helpful results to our users. He did not argue. He did not lose his cool. He simply educated. This moment proved something powerful to the world. Sundar Pichai was not just a tech expert. He was a communicator, a global leader, and a voice of reason in a chaotic world. Even inside Google, not everything was perfect. Some employees protested against certain military contracts. Others were upset about pay differences and a lack of diversity. There were serious tensions around how AI should be used ethically. Sundar did not run from these problems. He held town halls, which are open meetings where any employee could ask him tough questions directly. He listened. He responded honestly. And he made changes. He did not try to be a boss. He tried to be a listener, a bridge, and a problem solver. While all of this was happening, Sundar did not stop focusing on innovation. Under his leadership, Google invested deeply in artificial intelligence, using it to improve translation, health services, maps, search, and more. Google Cloud became a major business, helping companies around the world manage their data and grow. Android kept improving, becoming the most used mobile operating system in the world. Google Pixel phones were launched and improved year after year. He was not just maintaining the old products, he was busy creating the future. With so much power, it is easy to forget where you came from. But Sundar did not. Even today, he talks to students from India and around the world. He gives speeches encouraging kids from small towns to dream big. He reminds people that humility, kindness, and curiosity are more important than degrees or titles. In one interview, he said, "Success comes not from where you start, but from how far you are willing to go." This is who he has become. A man who leads billions, influences world decisions, and still lives by simple human values. Many people think that CEOs are always working 24 hours a day. But Sundar knows the truth. Real success includes balance. He is not just a CEO. He is a father, a husband, a friend, a reader, and a quiet observer of life. Sundar is married to Anjali Pichai, the same girl who supported him during their college days in India, when he did not even have enough money to make phone calls to her. They have 2 children, and he always makes time to be with them, no matter how busy his schedule is. He starts his mornings simply with a cup of tea and a newspaper. He likes to walk to think deeply. He reads many books about technology history, psychology, and human behavior. He does not chase luxury. He chases clarity. He enjoys watching cricket and other sports, and sometimes he even enjoys cooking simple Indian dishes with his wife. His old friends say he is the same Sundar they knew in college. He has not changed. He is still humble, still quiet, and still full of brilliant ideas. One of the most inspiring things about Sundar is this: he never tries to show off. He wears simple clothes. He speaks softly. He does not talk about his money or his fame. He talks about ideas, innovation, and how to make people's lives better. This is so rare in today's world. Most people want attention. Sundar wants impact. In one interview, someone asked him, "Why don't you act like other billionaires? You live so simply." He smiled and said something profound. "My goal was never to be rich. My goal was to be useful." Powerful, isn't it? Today, Sundar Pichai is respected all over the world. He has been listed in Time magazine's 100 most influential people multiple times. He is invited to speak at world forums about the future of AI, climate change, and digital freedom. World leaders want to collaborate with him because he understands not only technology, but also humanity. Still, whenever he is praised, he says the same thing. "It's not about me. It's about the team. I just had good people around me." Again, humility wins. Let's look at his financial success now, because this also shows what is possible when you follow your passion with discipline. His net worth as of 2025 is estimated to be over $1.5 billion US. His annual salary is around $240 million per year, which includes bonuses, stocks, and performance rewards. He owns a beautiful eco-friendly house in Los Altos Hills, California, surrounded by nature. There are no gold statues or 100 cars, just peace books, trees, and his family. He drives a Tesla Model S, a BMW 7 Series, and a Range Rover, but he rarely shows them off. His lifestyle is focused on privacy, peace, and personal growth. He still drinks cutting chai tea when he visits India, and he still reads Tamil newspapers when he gets the time. Here are some of Sundar's most powerful and unforgettable quotes. I want you to read them, feel them, and maybe even live them. Wear your failures as a badge of honor. Failure does not mean you are weak. It means you are growing. A person who is happy is not because everything is right in his life. He is happy because his attitude towards everything in his life is right. Attitude is everything. As a leader, it is important to not just see your own success, but focus on the success of others. Leadership is about lifting others up. Be impatient to learn, but be patient to apply what you learn. Learn fast, but apply what you learn slowly and wisely. It is important to follow your dreams and heart. Do something that excites you. Passion is the fuel for your journey. Let's end this powerful journey with some timeless lessons from Sundar's life. These are not just words. These are rules to live by if you want to rise from nothing to everything. 1. Your background does not define your future. Sundar came from a simple Indian family. He had no phone, no car, and no money to study abroad. But he had dreams. Where you start does not matter. Where you are going, that is what counts. 2. Be curious like a child. Always be learning. He loved learning. Even as the CEO of Alphabet, he reads every day. He listens to others. He constantly upgrades his thinking. Stop scrolling and start growing. Replace gossip with growth. Replace fear with learning. 3. Stay humble even when you rise high. Sundar never became arrogant. He stayed soft-spoken, polite, and grounded. Real strength is quiet. Real greatness whispers. 4. Choose kindness over ego. Even when he was attacked by politicians or critics, he never hit back. He used truth, not anger. He used calm, not chaos. Be kind even when it is hard. 5. Success is not just about money. It is about usefulness. Sundar's goal was never luxury. His goal was to make a difference in the world. And he did. Do not chase money. Chase meaning. And 6. Believe in your own journey. He could have given up many times when he was poor, when he was rejected, when people doubted his ideas. But he believed in himself. He kept going. Even if no one else believes in you, you must believe in you. Sundar Pichai's story is not just the journey of a tech leader. It is the journey of a human soul who started with nothing and built an empire with honesty, humility, and heart. Let his story remind you. You do not need to be born rich. You do not need to speak perfect English from the start. You do not need powerful connections. You need just one thing, a burning fire inside you to learn to grow and to never, ever stop. No matter how hard your life gets. Please remember this story. If it inspired you, if Sundar Pichai's life touched your heart, if you feel more motivated today, if you believe that you too will rise, then subscribe to our channel to learn something new every single day. Here we tell you stories, we teach you English, we inspire your mind, and we help you become the best version of yourself. This is not the end. This is your beginning. Go now. Dream. Work. Grow. You are the next Sundar Pichai, and the world is waiting for your story.